So I think we'll start this session. DG Graziano, DG Azevêdo, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to this launch of the joint FAO-WTO publication on food standards and trade. I am Edwini Kessie, and I'm the Director of the Agriculture and Commodities Division of the WTO. I'm particularly pleased to have both Director Generals here today, given that our division works closely with the FAO. Food standards play a central role in the SPS agreement, and they are also gaining importance also in the work of the TBT committee. The SPS team in my division worked very closely with the Trade and Environment Division, which handles TBT matters in the WTO, in preparing this publication, with significant input from the Secretariat of the Standards and Trade Development Facility, the SDTF. I witnessed the close and productive collaboration between the FAO and WTO teams, which worked on the publication. Beyond this publication, the Agriculture Division also collaborates with the FAO on a host of other activities, including undertaking joint technical assistance missions. The collaboration has enhanced synergies and enabled the two institutions to provide cutting-edge services to their members. Given the limited time available, I would like to invite Director General Azevêdo to make his remarks. DG, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much, Edwini. Director General Graziano, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the launch of this new FAO-WTO publication. I'm particularly glad to be joined by my friend, Professor José Graziano da Silva of the FAO. Over the years, our two organizations have developed a very important and close partnership. We work together on a number of fronts to ensure that trade in food follows internationally recognized standards and that people have the means to produce and access food that is safe and nutritious. When food standards and international trade work hand in hand, they help to promote food safety as well as improve nutrition across the globe. This can help to promote growth and development and to deliver on many of the sustainable development goals. There are many complementarities across our activities, and today's publication is a great addition to those efforts. It shows how the institutional frameworks of the FAO and the WTO come together to create an inclusive system for international food standards and trade, and it does this in three very important ways. First, it shows why international standards are vital for trade. In a world without common standards for food, producers would have to comply with hundreds of different requirements in each market, covering things like residue limits for pesticides or a range of composition and quality standards. For companies, especially the smaller ones, this would create huge barriers to participating in international trade. For consumers, it would be confusing and costly. So international standards help to tackle this situation. They contribute to harmonizing diverse national laws and regulations, which lowers trade costs, while also ensuring safe and nutritious food. This is supported by WTO rules. WTO agreements provide ample leeway for members to pursue health policies and any other legitimate objective, to be clear, provided that they are neither discriminatory nor unnecessarily restrictive. In fact, our rules strongly encourage governments to harmonize their requirements on the basis of international standards. Now, the WTO agreement recognizes the Codex Alimentarius as the source of international standards for food safety. And it is a similar story with the WTO TBT agreement, where WTO members frequently use Codex standards for regulations on food labeling and food quality. Standards also help to promote best scientific practices. And under the SPS agreement, for example, food safety regulations require a scientific basis. And through the joint FAO-WHO scientific work underlying the Codex standards, members agree on a common approach of addressing risks, such as those related to food contamination and nutritional content. This means that all governments have access to the best available scientific knowledge to inform their food regulators without having to bear the cost of developing those regulations themselves. And of course, in all of these issues, the WTO offers members an ongoing platform for dialogue. That's what we do here. Through the SPS and TBT committees, WTO members monitor the implementation of international standards in specific areas. Now, those two committees, the SPS committee and the TBT committee, are also increasingly used as forums to raise and to solve disagreements. And this work makes an important contribution in averting problems from escalating into full-fledged disputes, which we don't want. So it is quite remarkable, for example, and this number is very interesting, that over 900 specific trade concerns have already been raised in the SPS and the TBT committees since the WTO was created in 1995, so 900. But of those 900, only about 20 disputes have been filed under the SPS or the TBT agreements and measures. So I think that these figures show the value that members attach to these forums, the importance of common standards as a basis on which to reach solutions. Also the importance of dialogue, where most of those issues are resolved without the resort to litigation. So that's the first point that I wanted to highlight. The second point that the publication makes is the central role of our members in making the system function effectively. Like everything that we do in the WTO, we need members' full commitment if we are to be successful. On all the issues that we are discussing today, there is a great deal of highly technical work that goes on behind the scenes. Members devote special expertise to the work of the Codex and of the SPS and TBT committees. For example, I am aware that the SPS committee is meeting this week, and we have over 100 experts from capitals contributing to that session. That shows precisely the level of commitment that members have on these issues. But of course, being able to effectively participate at the international level starts with good preparation and coordination at home. Now, this means consulting with a range of stakeholders, accessing relevant information and having the necessary expertise. So capacity building is essential here. We need to help members build the tools, build the skills that they need to meet the requirements in export markets. The FAO does a lot of notable work in this area, helping to build up food safety capacity in developing members. The WTO is also very active here as well through a range of capacity building initiatives. The Enhanced Integrated Framework, the EIF, for example, it helps the least developed countries with their standards and quality infrastructure. And we also have the Standards and Trade Development Facility, the STDF, which has both the WTO and the FAO as partners. And that facility works to promote capacity building specifically in the SPS area. In fact, we'll be discussing their work in the upcoming session, so I hope you will join us then as well. But I think that the point is clear. Investment in strong capacity domestically enables strong participation and engagement internationally. So this is what the Aid for Trade is all about. So I think it is very timely that we are launching this publication on the occasion of this global review. And let me make one final point. This publication also helps us to look at the challenges and opportunities that we have on the horizon. Growing interconnectedness, technological innovation, and evolving health concerns, they constantly pose new and emerging challenges for food safety. Food standards and trade will need to evolve, they will need to adapt, whether we're speaking about the threat of antimicrobial resistance or new animal-carried diseases spreading to humans, or health burdens posed by non-communicable diseases. All these issues will require new approaches. As members think about how to address all these new and other challenges, the SPS and the TBT agreements remain very important guiding principles. So looking ahead, I think that the frameworks provided by the WTO and the FAO for food standards and trade will remain an important element in guiding all of this work. This joint publication is a welcome reminder of our ongoing partnership and of the importance of keeping this work going. So let me thank again DG Graziano for being here. I look forward to further fruitful work together. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the joint FAO-WTO team that worked on this publication, in particular Christian Wolf and Devin McDaniels from our side, from the WTO. And I'm sure that our members are going to continue to engage constructively on food standards and trade, informed by this excellent publication. This is the one, by the way, in case you're in doubt. So it is through this kind of engagement, of course, and cooperation, like the one that we have with FAO, that we will manage future policy challenges and build, hopefully, a better future for everyone. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, DG. I would now like to invite DG Graziano to take the floor. DG, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. First of all, let me express my great pleasure to be here, and particularly with my dear friend Roberto Azevêdo, to launch this new publication. This is just one of the many things, good things, I would say, that we are doing together. As you know, FAO's core mandate is to end hunger and all forms of malnutrition and promote sustainable agriculture development. But there can be no food security and improved nutrition without food safety. Food safety is also important, and food standards also crucial to unlock the potential of trade. Trade is likely to play an increasing role in meeting the demand from food deficit countries next decade, especially due to the impacts on climate change, particularly in African countries. In this context, the Codex Alimentarius is gaining even more importance in order to protect the health of consumers. In conjunction with WTO agreements, the Codex standards form a system of rules to ensure that food is safe, high quality, and that it can be traded without undue barriers. Ladies and gentlemen, this FAO-WTO joint publication targets a broad audience, but particularly national decision makers who work on trade and food safety. And this is not only important at national level. All concerned stakeholders must be integrated in this process, especially private sector. Public and private sector operators from all parts of the food value chain, civil society organizations, academic, and research institutions. They all have essential roles in developing sound and credible system of food safety management. Countries are also need to be able to better understand the scientific aspects of food safety. This is important for influencing the international standard setting agenda and also communicating effectively with trade partners. FAO seeks to support its members in building their scientific and technical capacity and also the skills to undertake risk assessment. Together with WTO and other partners, FAO is a founding member of the Standards and Trade Development Facility. This helps identify and promote best practices in food safety to facilitate trade and promote public health at global level. Excellencies, the collaboration between FAO and WTO goes well beyond this publication. It extends into many other areas and activities. I'll just mention a few of them. For instance, the contribution of WTO was most valuable in shaping the results and message of the last edition of FAO flagship report, The State of Agriculture Commodity Markets, which was dedicated to the theme of trade and food security. I am confident that the next edition of this report, which will explore the linkage between trade and climate change, will also benefit from WTO's inputs. We plan to launch it in September 2018. Importantly, we also work closely together in the context of the Agriculture Markets Information System, AMIS. AMIS is an interagency platform established by the G20 in 2011 in order to enhance food market transparency and policy response. And the Secretariat is hosted in FAO, and WTO support us very much on this. Ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, let me highlight that just last Monday, OECD and FAO launched an agriculture outlook for the next decade, 2017-2026, 10-year projections, and one of the main conclusions of the report is that food imports are becoming increasingly important for food security, as I said, particularly in Africa and Middle East countries, due to the impacts of climate change. This is also true for most of the less developed countries and traditional food import countries. Second, the report also highlights that food exports will remain concentrated in a few suppliers, more and more concentrated, I would like to say. And this raises the possibilities of supply shocks. And the most important conclusion, in my opinion, is that food prices in real terms will most probably remain below previous year, affecting producers in many countries. In other terms, the era of high commodity prices is over, and we expect a decade of decreasing prices due to the weak demand globally for food, especially cereals, vegetable oils, and even meat. So, in this context, it's very important to promote market openness and fair trade. Countries should avoid the temptation to implement export subsidies or other measures that can distort global trade. Otherwise, global food security can be more and more affected. I thank you for the opportunity to address this message. Thank you.
I would like to thank both Director Generals for being here this afternoon and to all of you for attending this book launch. You can obtain copies of the book from the WTO bookstore, or alternatively, you can download it for free from the WTO website. Because of other commitments, DG Graziano has to leave, but DG Azevêdo will remain with us for the next event. So thank you very much.